What if I told you that for countless individuals, hope often feels fleeting? Some battling homelessness, others trying to adjust after incarceration, oftentimes can't seem to find that hope for the future. That's where Hope Rescue Mission comes in. In Berks County, Pennsylvania, this organization seeks to bring hope and a new life to those who are struggling. Kate Alley, the director of LightHouse at Hope Rescue Mission, joins us to talk about their work and why they do it. That's all coming up right here, right now. I'm Sam Chen, and this is Face the Issues. Good evening and welcome to Face the Issues. I'm Sam Chen. For so many individuals across the country, hope seems to be fleeting. We see stories of those who struggle with homelessness or try to readjust after time in prison. But for many people, this isn't a news story. This is their everyday reality. Well, in Reading, in Berks County region of Pennsylvania, the organization Hope Rescue Mission has set out for over the last 100 years to bring hope and a new lease on life to those individuals. We're joined tonight by Kate Alley, who serves as Executive Director of LightHouse at the Hope Rescue Mission. Kate, thank you for being here and welcome to Face the Issues.
Thank you, Sam. It's great to be here.
It is so great to have you here. Let me start with the million-dollar question. People, our viewers in Berks County might know this, but for others across the state and the region, what is Hope Rescue Mission?
Hope Rescue Mission is a homeless shelter for men for 128 years that has been providing physical, spiritual, and vocational help to those men who are in need.
And so you've been around for over 100 years.
That's right.
That is absolutely remarkable. And this idea, I think so many people don't even fathom what a century of this work looks like, but also reflects upon the sad idea that this has been a problem for a long, long time.
Exactly. And, you know, when we were founded, there were problems with men being far away from home and not able to get jobs and turning to alcohol and drugs. And so that's really where our roots were. And we wanted to reach out with the love of Christ to really help these men get back on their feet.
That's incredible to do this for over 100 years. How widespread of an issue is this? You guys are in Reading, Pennsylvania. You serve that community. How widespread of an issue is this in the area? I mean, how many people do you see come in and out of your organization?
Well, we serve over 1,000 men a year, and that's about 150 men a night during the spring and summer. But during the winter, that climbs to 250 men a night.
Wow, and that's in the shelter where they come to stay.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Are they all from Reading, Pennsylvania, or do they kind of come from the Berks County area or even further away?
It's the entire Berks County region that people come from.
Wow. And I mean, put that in perspective, that Berks County is one of 67 counties throughout the state.
That's right.
Reading is the large city there, which is where you're located, populous, but not even one of the 3 largest cities in the state. And so much of Berks County also is agricultural. So we're not talking about like Philadelphia County where there are millions of people, or even Allegheny County where there's 500,000, and yet thousands of people come through your mission every single week. Let me ask you this about approach. There's different groups. We were talking earlier before the show about how there's another organization in the area as well. Different groups have a different approach into coming up with solutions for the problems that we face. You guys have called this the process of restoring lives. That's been your tag, restoring lives. What is the approach that Hope Rescue Mission takes?
Well, we are not a place where someone can come and just be taken care of. We really require the men to be as actively involved in their recovery as we are. So we make sure that the men are given opportunities to grow and learn, but they have to take them. They have to either be going to additional training and education. We also have a vocational training program called HopeWorks. That really is helpful because it gives men a chance to get back on their feet and be coached along the way. And so we have relationships with employers that are friendly to people who have been incarcerated, And so that really gives them a leg up to the rest of the population to get back on their feet.
So it would be improper to classify this as like a homeless shelter, because you're sheltering is one very small fraction of the work that you're actually doing.
That's right. We are really beginning to refer to Hope Rescue Mission as a men's center because we want to focus on their spiritual recovery as well as their mental and physical recovery as well. And we obviously offer the basics of food and shelter, but it's providing a community, because one of the deepest pains there is just loneliness. Yeah. And most of these men have nowhere else to turn, and that's why they're at Hope Rescue Mission.
I like how you described that, the basic needs, and I think so often we think about providing just the basic needs, but if we do that, then it's almost impossible to keep growing. And so you guys really put together a holistic plan and an investment that requires the other party to invest with you as you do this. Let me ask you this, you have so many people that come through your doors. Over the years, do you see people who are like, they come and then they eventually get on their own feet and they don't come anymore?
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, we really carefully screen who we allow back in. So if somebody does, by and large, we want people to get to the point where they are in their own housing and in a job or having a source of income so they can be independent and they can be on their own. And if it happens that they do wind up, coming back to us, we want to know the circumstances why. We don't let them back in to use us as a free rent place.
Right.
We really want to make sure that we're putting all the tools in place for them to be able to be independent.
I think that's so beautiful, and it gives a benchmark too, so a goal to work toward, as opposed to living just for the next day or the next meal or the next fill in the blank. There's actually a goal for them to aspire to. Kate, you talked about this work with men, and for so long, Hope Rescue Mission has been an organization that helps men. But they very recently, as I just found out, launched the LightHouse Women and Children's Center. This is your wheelhouse. You are the executive director of the center. Tell us about LightHouse and why now, it's not a shift away from what they've been doing, but why now this addition to work with women and children?
Well, it's our newest mission endeavor in 128 years is to work with women and children. And that came about because we kept getting phone calls from women who needed a place to stay. There just simply is not enough shelter in Berks County for women, especially women with children. We're going to be accepting women with children, but also single women and unaccompanied youth. And so we really just wanted to meet the need that we saw that was out there. And it was so hard to turn these women away because they saw, what a wonderful place Hope Rescue Mission is. We wanted to offer that same thing for women and children.
And so LightHouse is a part of Hope Rescue Mission, but
right.
it's separate. Like the two programs, what you're talking about with the program that works with the men and now LightHouse working with women and children, are separate programs.
That's exactly right. So first off, we're in two separate buildings. We have converted our Hope Thrift Store, a 25,000 square foot building, into 43 independent private rooms, each with their own bathroom, so that people can recover with privacy and dignity instead of a barrack-style accommodation. Sure. And in the center of the building will be a dining and program area, a staff area, but also a daycare area, an activity room for the children. And so we have a completely separate building from Hope Rescue Mission, but it's on their campus, a 5-acre campus in Reading. That's
really neat. So two different entities, so to speak, but working together, one big organization, one mission. You guys just broke ground on this, if I'm not mistaken, very recently.
That's right. We broke ground on August 23rd. It was very exciting for us.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
As the executive director, what are your goals for LightHouse?
Oh, well, I am really passionate about creating an environment where women can feel safe and they can feel secure and they have a sense of being in a place that offers them dignity and compassion. Because oftentimes, just, like the men, they're coming there because they've got nowhere else to go. and it's a very lonely, isolating place. And so we want to offer them dignity and compassion, and we want to give them options to get better and be restored, and give their children a place where they don't even realize they're in a shelter.
Yeah.
It's going to be a place that's very, beautiful aesthetically, but also they don't have to share a bathroom with other people. That really gives them ownership of where they're staying as well.
Is this already now open to women and children who can come, or if not, when do you plan to open up?
Well, our slated opening date is spring of 2023.
Okay, that's fantastic. So we're headed toward there full steam. Let me ask you this, Kate. What are with the men's group you just talked about, there's these benchmarks of we want to see them get on their own. We want to see them be able to find the job, get their own place to live, and so forth. What are your benchmarks for working with women and children? At what point do you look at them and you say, this is a success story?
Well, we also want women with children to be able to get their own places. And I realize that may take longer for some women, and it may not. There's many great organizations in Berks County that we'll be working with as referral sources, and we're going to have partnerships with many organizations in Berks County, just like we do at Hope Rescue Mission, including RAC, Alvernia, Kutztown University, Educational Resources, Berks Counseling. All these great groups will be coming together to help women and children get back on their feet. So I think it's the same idea of having complete independence,
Sure.
but also making sure that the children have minimal traumatization. I think when there's a lot of transition in a young child's life, it's very traumatizing.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that while they're with us, they're kept happy, kept secure, and also they have people around them that really build a community of caring for them.
It's such a heartbreaking thing to hear as you talk about this, and to know that this is a reality for so many, and yet there's so much hope in that. As you guys build LightHouse, I'm super excited to see where it goes. Congratulations
Thank
again
you.
on the opening. Kate, we're going to go to the break here in a moment, but when we come back, I want to talk about another part of the missions work, and which is also working with those who are formerly incarcerated. And so we'll talk about that when we come back. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Face the Issues is produced and recorded in the studios of LightHouse TV. Positively different.
Welcome back to Face the Issues. Kate, thanks again for being here. I really appreciate you giving us some insight into the work that Hope Rescue Mission and now LightHouse does and will be doing. There's another part of the organization that doesn't just work with those who are homeless, but focuses on those who have been incarcerated. Why is this a specific focus for Hope Rescue Mission?
There was a gentleman in Berks County named David Justice, and he had a nonprofit ministry really that served men in prison by pen pals, writing letters to them, encouraging them, sharing the good news with them. And when he got ready to retire, he looked around and said, who can I give this worthy mission to? And he gave it to us. He gave it to Hope Rescue Mission.
Wow.
And so we inherited his vision, and so we've been working with prisoners across the country, writing letters of encouragement, and also being a safe place for them to come when they come out of incarceration.
Wow, so this isn't just for people in Berks County, just for people that are incarcerated in Berks County then. This reaches people incarcerated all over the country.
It does, yes.
That is really neat. And we'll talk about Dave. Dave is a dear friend of mine. He was a friend of this channel, the station. I guess one of the questions is, who is writing the letters? The pen pal system. Are they people who are part of Hope Rescue Mission who live there and are part of other programs? Is it staff? Is it volunteers? But who are the ones that are becoming the pen pals?
So we asked the men who have been incarcerated and who are living at the mission to actually write the letters.
Oh, wow.
Because they know best than anyone what it's like to be, living in jail, and what that's like to wake up every day behind bars and know basically what your whole day looks like day after day after day. And so we've asked them to be that person to encourage those men.
Wow. I just got goosebumps hearing you say that. It's such an interesting thing that people, when they experience something similar, or if you've walked through a certain journey, you can relate to others who are walking through it. And whereas you or I, we might care and we might have certain sympathy, but we aren't really able to empathize because we haven't been there. We haven't been a part of that. And I just love that there's a sense of giving back, where even though they're being served by Hope Rescue Mission and they're being helped by Hope Rescue Mission, now they're actually already playing a part in helping someone who was where they were some time ago.
That's right.
I love that connection. What happens when someone leaves prison? You said sometimes they'll come to Hope Rescue Mission then.
That's right. About 17% of people exiting prison really don't have a home. Wow. So they're considered homeless, but they have to have a place to report to for their parole officer. And so we take on that role. Wow. And are basically a point of contact for them to be able to check in on them and say, yes, they've been at dinner, they've been here, and they're still here and they're still doing well. And so we provide that point of contact for them and that place for them to take their first steps of freedom, really.
When people leave, do they come from, when they leave, if they've been in this Pen Pal program, the ones that come to you, are they just from Berks County area? Do you ever have people that come from like Pittsburgh or something, or Dallas, Texas, that drive all the way up?
No, we mostly work with the Berks
Okay.
County prison,
Sure.
but I think that there's a real interesting phenomenon that happens is that if an individual was incarcerated in the winter and they are released in the summer, they only have their winter clothes with them. They leave in a warm parka and everything. Yeah. And conversely, if they are incarcerated in the summer and released in the winter, they are leaving prison in shorts and a t-shirt. And the prison doesn't give them extra clothing. So it's sort of immediately we begin to come around a person and help them get not just their shelter needs, but get them clothes and food as well.
Yeah. Another challenge that I think those, for me who I've never been there, just doesn't even occur to me that would be a problem. That when you leave prison, one, you said 17% are homeless, so there's nowhere for them to go. And we've had others on the show before talking about incarceration issues and talking about different approaches for drug rehabilitation and so forth. And every single one of them has brought up the point you just brought up, which is you come out, you have no family, you have no support network. Oftentimes, the people you have are the reason you were in prison in the first place. And so you can't go back to them if you want to be clean, or you want to get a clean start or a fresh start. And then you might not even have the right clothes for the season. How do they know to come to you?
Well, we have a really great referral source with Berks County Prison, and really with all law enforcement throughout Berks County. That's really the way that many people come through us, through United Way 211 or law enforcement. And that's basically how people find out about us. We also have a close relationship with the street medicine team at Tower Health. Yeah. And so they know too, well, gosh, if you see someone in the street, that we know just where to take you and where you'll be cared for. So.
Yeah. So we've had the street medicine team from Lehigh Valley Health Network here before. Brilliant work that these street medicine teams do, and where they take medicine right into the street, into the homeless community. Let me ask you about the partnerships. You talked about different organizations, different colleges and universities you partner with. This home plan program was something that Dave Justice was working on, and now has partnered with you guys, and you guys have taken it over, partnering with Tower Health. How important are these partnerships to the work that Hope Rescue Mission does?
Oh, they're absolutely critical, because we want these men and women and children to come to be brought back into the community. And we want them to have the same opportunities that you or I would have within the community. And they're largely hidden. When you see a homeless person, most people look away. They're invisible. Yeah. And so we want to bring the world to them and bring them into our organization instead of even a small, it's a small obstacle for them to even get out and get to a doctor's appointment. So having the street medicine team right on site is just a huge gift. We have psychiatry services come in, addiction specialists come in. You know, we have a relationship with Teen Challenge, and they're going to be coming in. And so it's absolutely critical that all these different groups come and interact with folks, and you know, offer like RAC offers GED services for our people, and so it's a wonderful thing to partner with the great services and organizations we have in Berks County already doing this work.
You know, it's so interesting. You talk about RAC, the Reading Area Community College, and the GED services. And I was scrolling through your website and reading some of the stories and the bios, and to just realize what I said earlier, that there's so much that if you've never been there and you've never experienced it, that you don't realize that just the gap of opportunity, that somebody who comes out of prison, their whole family or support base may be what got them in there in the first place, so they can't come back to rely on them. How often do we rely on our family and our friends? Or you come out and you don't even have the right clothes for the season. You come out and they say, well, go get a job, but you don't even have a high school diploma in order for you to get a job. And to realize, I think so many of us don't realize just how hard it is. I have a dear friend who's been on the show who used to be a drug dealer and has reformed his life. And he said one of the great challenges is when you leave and you get out, you suddenly realize how easy it is to make money when you're in. and it's just this temptation to come back to it. And I love the work that you guys do, just trying to set them up for that success so they can get that GED, so they can get that job, so they can get stable living conditions and so forth.
Yeah, and it's so important to build community while they're at Hope Rescue Mission. We want them to be part of our community there by giving them tasks to help each other out within within Hope, working on the maintenance crew, helping out at the kitchen, so that they understand that they're part of something larger than themselves, that they belong in a way and can offer something, that they have a purpose.
That's so neat too. I think we often hear about this, and there's almost this tendency in our society to say be selfish, right? Work on yourself. And you're saying part of this is be part of the community. Don't be selfish. When you help each other, everybody rises. I love that. I love that. Kate, let me ask you this last question here in this segment. Somebody wants to give, they want to contribute, they want to support the work you do. How can they do that?
Go to our website, hopeforreading.org, and there's an area that says donate. And we would love to have your investment in our mission. And also we're always looking for volunteers to serve meals or come and mentor the men or women that are coming and get involved. We'd love that.
That'd be great. Don't go away. We're going to cut the break, but when we come back, we'll wrap up. The website again is hopeforreading.org. Go check it out, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to Face the Issues. Kate, thank you again for spending your time here and for just the work that you and your organization do, but for also sharing that with us. I want to ask you as we close out, this was hard work. We talked a lot about the challenges, and I think everybody feels for this, but so few people would say, yeah, let me get involved and let me actually do something about it. Why do you do this?
Oh, well, I started off my career in business, and I was working in New York City in mergers and acquisitions, and a friend of mine invited me to volunteer at an organization called The Door in New York City, and it was a place where homeless youth and runaways were living. And when I started volunteering there, it just was so humbling that these kids who were so alone in the world and so broken, that we could make a difference for them just by showing up and teaching them a class or just showing that we cared. And I saw just how important it was. And so eventually I went back to school and went into social work and started doing counseling. And I think it was all because I really wanted to know how best to come alongside someone and help them out. And so I think I realized when you care for the one person in front of you, you can make a difference. I didn't know my platform would now be in charge of a center that is going to impact 125 women and children on a daily basis. But I think if you just start with the one, anybody can help out. And so that's really my why, just knowing that you can make a difference, small or big, just by caring.
I love that story, and thank you for doing what you do and for sacrificing so much to come back and to do this and to serve the community that way. Really, really appreciate you joining us.
Oh, thank you. It's been great to be here.
I want to thank Kate Alley for joining us, and of course for the work that she and everyone at Hope Rescue Mission does. And of course I want to thank each of you for tuning in as well. And as we close out tonight, we want to pay tribute to a very special friend of this network, David Justice, and his wife, Betty. Kate mentioned them in her interview just now. Dave Justice was a friend of mine, and though much older, I had known him since I was a little kid at Faith Evangelical Free Church in Allentown. He was a big personality, often very quiet, but cared deeply, knew everything at all times, and treated everybody with love and respect. Even when I'd gone off to college, he kept in touch, and just recently sent me a note saying just how proud he was of the man I've become, the work I do, and to let me know that he was cheering me on, even as he was retired, now living out his retirement years in Florida. Both Dave and his wife Betty passed the last few months, and today's episode is dedicated in their honor, and we give tribute and our thanks to them and to the countless lives that they've reached and the legacy that they leave now being carried on by our friends at Hope Rescue Mission. Dave, Betty, thank you for your friendship, for your investment in so many lives, including mine, and Godspeed. My name is Sam Chen. On behalf of all of us here at Face the Issues, thank you and good night.